Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Amy for anybody that is new around here, and today I have another tutorial. I've got a horse in coloured pencils. Just quickly, I do have the full narrated version. It's a 3-hour tutorial over on my Patreon. If you'd like to know more about my Patreon page, then I have a link to that in the description box down below and also the web address on the screen. Just go and head over there if you'd like to know a lot more information about what I do over on Patreon. Let's just start with the colours now, and I am using the Faber Castell Polychromos pencils. I like using these pencils to get in those high levels of details, and I'm using a lot of brown tones for this tutorial. So I'm using a lot of the walnut brown, the dark sepia, the Van Dyke brown, and other brown tones as well. I'm also using some reddy brown tones, so the Caput Mortem and Caput Mortem Violet. I use those two pencils a lot in this tutorial, and for the lighter areas of the skin I used a lot of flesh tones, so I used the medium flesh, the dark flesh, and also some orangey tones such as the sanguine and the terracotta. What I like to start by doing is I like to start with the eye section. It's just the section that I prefer to start with, but you can really start your drawing anywhere in any sort of order that you want to. But I like to start with the eyes just to capture those details, and because this is quite a small scale, I'm making sure that I use sharp pencils. So to sharpen my pencils, I do like to use a helical sharpener. I use the Derwent manual sharpener, that is a handheld helical sharpener, and I make sure that I sharpen my pencils to a really fine point. You want to make sure that you're using sharp pencils because, like I said, if you're working on quite a small scale or a detailed piece, you want to make sure that you can get into all the crevices of the paper. So I'm just making sure to keep those pencils really nice and sharp. Horses are sort of a new one for me. I haven't actually done any drawings of horses apart from a really up close eye study of a horse, and that was a couple of years ago. So this one was a real new one for me, and I really did take my time with this one. And I think with horses, what I'm not used to is that they have really short fur and obviously very thick skin. So I used a lot of different techniques for this tutorial than I would do in normal animal drawings. Normally I'd be drawing a lot of fur, there'd be a lot of heavy fur texture in those drawings, but for the horse it was more about shading and other subtle techniques that I had to use to get in those high levels of detail. So what I did was I used a combination of using the tip of the pencil to just add in some really intense shadows and any high levels of details that I could see on the reference photo. So on the reference photo there were some areas where there was a little bit of fur growth, so for those areas I used the tip of the pencil, but there was also a lot of shading as well. So there was a lot of shadows, there was a lot of value on the horse, and for those areas what you'll see me doing is actually using the side of the pencil to get in those values. I like to just slowly start building up my values as well. So what you'll see me doing is I will start by shading in some lighter values, and I always start light and then build my way up, and that is just to make sure that as I go darker I still have some areas of the lighter values showing through, and that it's not all flat and just one colour. And you want to make sure that you keep those light areas for that realistic perspective as well. So I always start light, and I started with using some flesh tones, so I used a lot of the light flesh, medium flesh and dark flesh. And then what I did was I built up on some mid-tones, so I used a lot of the brown ochre, I used some of the Caput Mortuum violet, and also some other orangey tones as well. And then in the really detailed areas I did use a lot of the dark sepia and the black. For the horse's mane, again, I'm having to change my techniques a little bit because obviously we're drawing a long sort of hair mane there, and what I did was I started by using the black Polychromos pencil, and I started by just roughly outlining all of the clumps and main sections of the mane. Then what I started doing was I started building up on some other values within the mane. So with the horse's mane, it wasn't just strands of hair, so there was a lot of clumps of hair, and I made sure that I started to increase those values and clump the hair together. And I did actually work a little bit more on the mane there off camera as well, just to thicken it up a little bit and make it just look a little bit more realistic. I did also use an embossing tool for the mane as well, so what I did was I actually indented the paper a little bit, and that just allows some little flecks of hair to show through. So you'll notice that what I'm doing is I'm just changing my pencil strokes again, just to accurately represent what is on the reference photo. So I hope you did enjoy this short tutorial. If you are new around here, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload art related videos every single week, and I'd love to have you sticking around and joining in on all the fun on my channel. I hope you did enjoy this video, and as always I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Bye everybody!